Today, we've got big changes that are coming, and cleaning out the deep state is finally happening, everybody. Trump and the DOJ have just fired over 100 people that have been deep staters for God knows how long. They were leaking evidence and doing God knows what to try and destroy the Trump agenda and the Trump federal government. Guys, this is huge. We are seeing amazing changes take place in the GOP leadership over this huge DOGE cuts, because it's getting deeper and deeper, and it's exactly what the American people want. People are getting fired and being held accountable for their actions. It's what the people voted for. They voted to codify Trump's agenda, to put it into law, to get the DOGE cuts, and now Elon Musk is making it happen. And this is huge, guys, because it all ties back to the money. Everything that we talk about, all the corruption, all the fraud, the waste, the abuse, it's always tied back to the money, and that's why Elon Musk is so important. Well, guess what? Bongino, Cash Patel, and Bondi have now opened up another FBI case into the 2021 DC pipe bombings that were mysteriously closed under the Biden administration. And Julian Assange is now seeking a meeting with President Trump to expose further corruption among Democrat elites in Congress in both the Obama and Biden administration. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. This is huge. We're going to show you some big stuff today because people are getting fed up. They are saying enough is enough. And when Trump, listen to this, when Trump started hearing details about his own intelligence briefings from Susan Rice on MSNBC, they knew that there was a mole. They knew they were having leaks. So check this out. Over 100 members of council within the federal government in DC were fired, sent packing this past couple of days when they found out all these people that were leaking evidence. Guys, these were deep staters that had literally made the comments that they were going to disrupt Trump's agenda no matter the cost, no matter if they lost their job. Let me know in the comments, guys, if you think these people deserve jail time, prison, if they need to be held in contempt, because it was over 100 of them, guys. We're going to show you the receipts in a moment. This is huge. This is cleaning out the deep state. We have it where not only is the FBI finally doing their dang job in opening up investigations, looking into the deep state, going after the money, they've now opened it up and into the January 6th pipe bombings. What happened? Why was it covered up? Who were the elite Democrats that were trying to control the situation and fearmonger everybody into trying to say that Trump was going to do this or that? Well, guess what? That investigation has been opened up. Julian Assange, who is a reporter, has now said that he has evidence to expose the deep state, the corruption when it comes to the Obama administration, the Joe Biden administration, things that they have been trying to cover up when it came to their family, the money, Ukraine. Guys, this is huge. This stuff is all coming out. Why? Because they know that the FBI is looking. They know that the DOJ is going to catch them, and it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. This is huge breaking news today, guys. We're going to give for you. I love it because we are finally seeing amazing news that the corruption is being found out and we are exposing it. I want to say thank you to everybody who is watching, to all of our subscribers, all of our viewers. Thank you so much for your support. We are truly grateful that you support us every single day. And if you're not subscribed, please consider joining our family here at TrueLife News. We want to take care of you every day with the top news. If you don't mind hitting that subscribe button, I promise you, you're not going to regret it. We bust our butt to give you the best show every single day. And I want to say thank you to all of our members of the channel. Thank you so much for joining us and our giving every single month. Remember, when you're a member or you give a super chat donation on the 22nd of every single month, we give back to a local charity live on stream, guys. And I'm so thankful. Thank God. Thank you, all of our supporters, that in the past 8 months, we have given over $36,000 live on stream with your support. I want to say, Joe Lee, welcome to the family. Chris Kessinger, welcome to the family. And thank you so much Justin Duvall, Mr. Tracy J. Norby, Nyla Potter, Elaine Demeen for your support. Guys, y'all show them some love in the chat. If you don't mind doing us a huge favor of hitting that thumbs up like button, we are finally exposing the fraud. Not only have over 100 people in DC been fired in the past couple of days for leaking evidence, we're exposing the deep state, we're opening up new investigations into the January 6th pipe bombings, and we have this huge reporter that is coming out and saying, President Trump, I have the evidence to expose corruption with the Democratic elites in Congress and in the Obama and Biden administrations. Guys, this is huge, but guess what? Nobody is above the law. What you're about to see next, we are finally catching them. They thought that they could hinder Trump's deportations. They thought that they could just do whatever they wanted, but guess what? We are putting their butts in jail. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Check this out.
Is it me, or does the left continue to somehow manage to hit new lows? And then I also want to ask this, aren't you getting sick of it? Because I tell you what, I personally am. And I'm sure everyone who sacrificed their lives so we can have the best country on earth, right? And then we have to watch Democrats, activist judges, and liberal media make a mockery of it all. So here we go. I want to get to this right out of the gate, which could go down as one of the more absurd and really criminal things that could ever happen in the judicial system. We're talking about a judge helping a criminal get away from law enforcement. Okay, video has finally been released of Judge Hannah Dugan in Milwaukee. She's the one who was arrested and charged for helping an illegal alien get away from ICE agents last month. So everyone wants to know, right? Why was she arrested? All right, outside of the documents, well...
Guys, I just want you to know, if you look in the top left-hand corner, this is from FBI Director Kash. This was a photo that Director Kash Patel actually posted. Why? Because he wants to let everybody know, don't mess around. If you want to break the law, it doesn't matter if you're a judge, we'll put your butt in jail too.
The video now of the whole episode going down, so I want to walk through it all. Let's go back to April 18th when illegal alien, this guy, Eduardo Flores Ruiz, a Mexican national, facing 3 charges of domestic battery here in the United States. So let's get to the video. Here he is inside immigration court with his attorney as they walk right by the ICE agents who are sitting down. They are there to arrest him after finding out he's in the country illegally. But here comes activist Judge Hannah Dugan. She's going to come into frame here, and then she's going to decide to take matters into her own hands. There you see her walking down the hallway with another judge. Now, arrest records show that Dugan and the ICE agents, they apparently had a disagreement over the warrant for Flores Ruiz, and she tells them to go see the chief judge in another part of the courthouse, okay? The same thing she tells to other ICE agents that are down the hallway. You're going to see her shortly pointing down the hallway and then going to get the attention of the other ICE agents. So everybody, she's clearing out the hallway. It's a diversion. So then we're going to get to some more video here. Out comes the illegal alien from behind a door. It's a restricted area with his attorney, thinking that the coast is clear. We got to get away here. But what they didn't notice was there was another ICE agent in the hallway. One was in plain clothes right there. You see him highlighted. He was waiting in the hallway. He didn't walk away. Luckily, he was able to follow the suspect.
Look at that, guys.
To make his escape.
Guys, tell me, do you not appreciate us exposing how corrupt some of these people are and what they're willing to do? Because it's not only that, guys. This right here, what you're seeing on screen, is one of the biggest firings that we have seen this past week, guys, of Trump cleaning out the deep state. Deep State NSC team leaking Trump briefing details to Susan Rice, fired. Guys, check this out. As many as 100 members of council were sent packing this past Friday when it was clear they were working for the deep state and not the president. Guys, this right here, Trump knows it. He knows there's deep staters. He knows there's a lot of people that are going to try to mess up, deter his agenda, not put America first, and guess what? They will be sent packing. Now, the big question is, should they also be investigated? Should they be put in prison? Should they be jailed for their blatant? Because again, too, guys, this is 100% in a sense, treasonous acts of directly defying the President of the United States, leaking crucial evidence to other sources, and it gets even deeper. It gets even worse, guys. We're going to show you this in a moment. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, guys, I am so excited because I love exposing the fraud and the corruption. Watch this.
Followed Flores Ruiz out of the building as he tried to evade the arrest. And then you're going to see the other ICE agents, they were notified, they came out. They chased him down, they arrested him, everybody. Case closed. Didn't work, Judge Dugan. Okay, the judge is caught on tape. What are we even talking about here? It's hard to make the case you did nothing wrong when you are caught on tape, right? Dugan is charged with obstructing a federal investigation and concealing an individual to prevent arrest. A judge helped a woman-beater illegal evade authorities, a judge in the United States. And yet hundreds of protesters are rallying behind her. Those are some of the scenes up there in Milwaukee, calling for justice, everybody. I don't get it. I mean, this whole defending criminal illegal aliens thing is pretty out of hand now, wouldn't you say? Think about this case, everybody. The suspect was arrested in our country for 3 charges of domestic battery. He's also here illegally. You came here illegally, and then you broke our laws. See you later, right? Get out of here. You would think that if you came here illegally, the last thing you would want to do is draw attention to yourself. You would want to fly under the radar. But not some of these people, hence why the Trump administration is getting them out. And now we have some new policy, one I think is pretty common sense. The Trump administration is sending ICE agents to immigration courts to arrest illegals, to fast track them out of the country, because the best and brightest are not sneaking across our borders. They're probably staying in their own countries, living large. You see, when you don't screen people, they're going to come in. The ones that mean to do well for the United States, these people aren't going to be contributing members of society.
And they're going to follow the law. Because I'll tell you this, again, we found some evidence yesterday, guys. This is about as big as it can get. We found some evidence where a person had leaked that there was individuals within the Biden administration that actually did some undemocratic things during the Biden administration to try to keep Trump from winning the election. So we reported it first. Now it's coming out this morning. It came out from Representative James Comer, guys. This is a sitting chairman on the House GOP Oversight Committee in Congress, who now is confirming what we already found, guys, because you heard it here first. We posted it first. He said longtime aide to former President Joe Biden admitted that White House staff felt justified doing undemocratic things during his term in office because they believed President Donald Trump posed an existential threat to American democracy. The TDS is real. And now these people are being investigated. But what I love is that, again, we're always trying to find the most breaking news. And we found this yesterday. We reported it, and now it's become mainstream that this is legitimate over these aides that were literally circumventing the law for the Biden administration to try to get Biden or Kamala Harris to win because they hated Trump that much. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys, because it's getting deeper and deeper.
This is what you're going to get. Your country starts looking like a third world country, and that is what is happening here in the United States. But the fact that on the left, even judges now are defending this and helping them get away from police, it takes it to a whole new level, everybody, don't you think? Judge Hannah Dugan helped a guy who's facing 3 charges of battery get away from law enforcement. So much for women's rights. So by the scale of the left, illegal aliens who commit crimes, they are A-OK, everybody. You can go ahead and stay. And I, the judge, I'm going to help you do it. But, and I want to pivot to this, the other big story this week, 59 white South African farmers who have been properly vetted and are coming to this country to seek refuge. According to the left, they are not okay. Everything about this shows just how out of control the TDS has gotten. President Trump has been proven right on a lot of things when everybody at first said he was majorly wrong. So you would think the media would at least try to investigate the atrocities happening in South Africa that he brings up, right? that they would want to get to the bottom of it. They'll investigate it because it's the President of the United States calling it out. The reporting after the fact went more like this. How dare President Trump bring to light genocide is happening? That's really how it went. That is how far the left has fallen. They're turning a blind eye to alleged genocide brought up by the President of the United States. And left-wing judges, they're being caught on tape helping illegal aliens who beat their women to evade ICE agents. Hello? Earth to anyone out there.
That's
I feel
TDS.
like we're in the twilight zone right now. And it's all because they have focused their entire party, their entire mission on resisting President Trump instead of focusing on what is best for the American people. And they are absolutely imploding. Like I said, each week I come in here, put the suit on, I do my job thinking, well, it's got to start going up from here, right? Can't go much lower than that. And then guys, this gets broken. This just broke the news. Because again, we are going to break everything. Like, there are so much times where we are 1 to 2 days ahead of the mainstream media, guys. This is insane. So breaking news, this is from Project Constitution, guys. Reputable news outlet. $260 million in U.S. aid allegedly used by George Soros to meddle in foreign governments, guys. This is about as bad as it gets. They broke that it was India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Ukraine that through NGOs, according to, they said to New Revelations, $260 million from U.S. aid, a U.S. foreign aid agency, has allegedly been funneled into Soros-backed efforts to interfere with political systems of multiple countries. Sources claim this money was used to fund regime changes, manipulate democratic outcomes, and empower radical activist groups aligned with Soros's global agenda. All under the radar and with your taxpayer dollars, guys. Is not the truth coming out. And you're going to get really upset with what I'm about to show you next. But again, it's the truth. It's what is actually happening. Fred Samuel, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. He said, we need to put people in prison for treason. 100%. Set the example. And Leigh Lewis, thank you so much for the super chat. She said, Alcatraz, anyone? I agree. Because what this is right now, we voted and we're trying to get Trump's agenda in place. Guys, y'all show Leigh Lewis and Fred Samuel some love in the chat. And what you are seeing here, everybody, is the calendar for our so-called representatives of we the people. And if you look, May the 26th through the 30th, well, guess what? They're on vacation again this week. So instead of passing the big, beautiful bill, instead of trying to codify DOGE cuts into law, instead of actually doing their dang job, Congress, Mike Johnson, has decided to take another vacation, an entire week off to go and do I don't know what. This makes me super upset because, again, Trump is working every single day. His cabinet is working every single day. But if you look in the middle section, 2 over, 2 down, May 26th through the 30th, they're on vacation. If it's in yellow, it means that they're working. Guys, this is why nothing ever gets done in Congress. Because when they need to get things done, they don't actually do it. Look at how many days they get off through the year. They get off the whole month of August. How many other people in that work a regular job actually get this many days off? It is sickening. Trump is upset. Elon Musk is really upset with what I'm going to show you in a moment. But we're getting into some new details over the big, beautiful new bill. What's going to happen with all the national debt, guys? Check this out. And if you appreciate this, if you don't mind, if you appreciate all this news, guys, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support.
The great Rosemary Jenks. Rosemary, when you look at the big, beautiful bill, do we have the same kind of transparency issues on, you are the number one person on making sure illegal immigrants, all this madness with visas, all of it. Give us Rosemary Jenks' assessment of where we stand with the big, beautiful bill, ma'am.
So first of all, I will say that there is tremendous funding for border security, for interior immigration enforcement. Those things in that bill are great. We spent the last probably 5 days before the bill hit the House floor insisting that the committees change the eligibility requirements to ensure that illegal aliens cannot get Medicare, Medicaid, Obamacare, SNAP, and so on. It was a fight, but we got that done for the most part. The problem that we still have is that the Ways and Means Committee failed to exclude illegal aliens from the tax credits, like the additional child tax credit and the earned income tax credit. The problem is what they did was just require a social security number from everyone claiming the credit, including the spouse and the children of the tax filer. The problem is 5 years ago that would have been fine, but over the Biden administration, they were handing out social security numbers like candy to illegal aliens. So we have literally millions of illegal aliens in this country with valid social security numbers who can still therefore get tax credits. That means a check from the US government, from our money, to them above and beyond the paltry amounts that they actually pay in taxes because
And think about it. Not only are they getting benefits, guys, all this stuff is coming out. I hope you appreciate this, guys, but as all this stuff is coming out, what do we now know? That if you have a social security number, you can use that as your proof of citizenship to go and do what? To vote. The Democrats knew what the heck they were doing, guys. That's why with all these deep staters that just got fired, over 100 of them this past week, who are leaking all this intel about Trump's agenda, his policies, is super important, because if we don't weed out the deep state, if we don't weed out the people that are not America first, they will win over our country, because they've been planning to do it. They gave them social security numbers, and we know for a fact now over 1.3 million were receiving Medicare. We know for a fact that tens of thousands were voting.
Low income earners.
Yeah, no, if you go watch, Warren Davidson tried to grill Powell, and Powell was so slippery, right? 05, John Taylor, now we printed too much money in 05. You get the housing crisis as a result in 07, 08. Like you just said, all that money has to go somewhere. Where did it go? It went into the giant real estate bubble. And that, of course, popped. No one goes to jail. So then what does the Fed do? Do they learn their lesson? No, they print $4 trillion more money. And that all goes to the stock market, to equity. So the stock market soars. And along with that, they validate $2 trillion deficits under Biden for the last 4 years. And now under Republicans, it looks like we're going to get $22 trillion more in debt, $2 trillion a year for 10 years. And the Fed is going to validate all that. If you want a sound price level and sound employment policies, there's no way, right? They're doing research on job programs in Chicago, multicolor flags at the Fed. They're doing everything except, researching the America First issues. What's the cost of the border invasion of 10 million illegals in the workforce? What's the total cost of all these kinetic wars? These are just basic things they should be doing that they're not. Instead, they're supporting Wall Street. And now, and Brian hit it all. But the one thing we didn't emphasize enough is now it's under the Treasury. So now it's on the back of the middle class taxpayer to pay interest payments to the big banks. And of course, disproportionately, all these reserves are on the accounts of the big banks. Not small, the small guys get this benefit.
200 billion. It's like a bribe.
Right. When Paulson
Guys,
and Burnett.
I got to show you this because, again, too, like Elon is very upset with what has just happened. Elon is saying, you know what? Things have got to change. I want to show you this. So somebody posted and said, DOGE is literally one of the most popular government initiatives in history. 73% of Americans say they support cutting government waste. Trump brought in the smartest man on the earth to do it. Oh, let me go back. Brought the smartest man on the earth to do it. The left destroyed Elon for it. The GOP won't vote on it. I can't believe this. Elon Musk replied, did my best. So now look at this that came out. Certain Congress people are finally growing a backbone and standing up for we the people. And this is super important. Congressman Tony White, a Republican out of Wisconsin, speaks out after Elon Musk says, I did my best when it comes to the DOGE cuts. He said, we were sent to Washington by the American people to root out waste, fraud, and abuse in our government. We need to start voting on DOGE cuts now. The pressure is sinking in. Mike Johnson can only, because I'm going to show you something in just a moment, he can only run away from this for so long because I think he's a slippery fish. He moves with the wind. Whatever he needs to do, that's what he does, because what you're about to hear next is exposing that we need a new speaker in the House, and a lot of Congress people are starting to finally stand up and say it, guys, because listen to this. It's getting deeper.
He walked into W's office, Oval Office, in 2008. Yep. They printed $4.5 trillion. That's what they did after that, during the subprime crisis. Yes. Then they used that, like, if you think of it, that strategy all over again during COVID, and they did another $4.5 trillion. Yes. I always compare it to 2007. So let's go
after,
back.
By the way, after President Trump took $1 trillion off when Yellen was Fed chair in his in 2019, they took, and this is what President Trump's growth in 19 over 3% was against the headwind of shrinking the balance sheet. $1 trillion. Right. Then you're saying they added it back in. Okay, that gets the debate. I got it. Keep on. I got it. I just want to make sure I understand the math.
They did it all over again. So if you think about it, what quantitative easing is, and so we just described the size. It's massive. They increased the size of the Fed's balance sheet at the peak by over 10 times bigger. In fact, if you take the Fed's balance sheet today, it's bigger than the top 10 sovereign wealth funds in the world combined. The Fed is by far the 1,000-pound gorilla in the room. And if you buy all these bonds and you print all of this money, how do you keep it from turning into inflation? Yep. Now we know it happened once, but how did they stop it under Bernanke from turning into inflation? Well, what they did is they went in and they did three things. They put massive new liquidity rules on banks. They said, you have to hold this money we printed. Don't lend it out. Don't let it create inflation. Then they raised capital requirements on banks to do the same thing. And then the final thing, and this is what Dave was just talking about, they decided to pay banks to hold the money that they printed. And so right now we're paying banks 4.5% on over $5 trillion. We're paying private banks $200 billion a year to hold all this cash that the Fed printed. Boom. Because if they didn't pay them, it would turn into hyperinflation.
Do you see this, guys? Do you see this stuff that's coming out? And again, too, this is some of the biggest news ever, guys, that has come out in the past week. As many as 100 members of the council have been fired from D.C. with the deal with the intelligence briefing, the national intelligence, guys. This is what we voted for. There have been deep staters that have been leaking Trump's briefing details to Susan Rice, and now they've been fired. The deep state is trying to figure out things, disrupt, trying to hinder, trying to get Trump out of his mode of making America great again by messing up his plans. And I'm so thankful that they finally have been fired, guys. And this is just the beginning, because again, when you think about what's about to come, this is actually coming from a lot of people now over this Julian Assange. So Julian Assange is reportedly seeking a meeting with President Trump to expose further corruption among Democratic elites in Congress and both the Obama and the Biden administrations. Guys, this is where it's at. Everything is coming together. Bongino just released this past week that they are not only opening up FBI investigations into the D.C. pipe bombings with the January 6th, the cocaine found in the White House in 2023, and the 2022 leak of the Supreme Court's Dobbs decision with ending the federal right to abortion. Guys, Everybody is getting exposed right now. Everybody knows that the buck stops here. And the biggest one that we're about to show you, who is now getting caught speaking out of both sides of his mouth, is Mike Johnson. He needs to be held accountable because right now they've taken an entire week off of vacation in Congress and the House of Representatives to do what? They need to be passing and codifying these DOGE cuts and getting American taxpayers back their hard-earned money. Want to say thank you so much, Mr. Tracy J. Norby, brother, for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all show some love to Mr. Norby. Also, our prayers are with you, brother, and your better half. Hopefully everything is okay. We're praying for you, and hopefully everything gets better soon. Randy Blanks, thank you so much for the super chat. And thank you so much, Denise Clark Custom Art, for the super chat. Say we must stay focused on getting the America First agenda done. We've had to deal with these negatives before the positive. Mike Johnson needs to go. Let me know your thoughts, guys, in the comments section over what you're about to see next. Because again, too, we have to be consistent. We have to be united. If you appreciate this, guys, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support. Check this out.
Let's talk about what the legislation actually does. I want to play something that you said back in January about the national debt.
The number one threat to our nation right now is our debt. We take that very seriously. Congress has kicked the can down the road for decades, and we're out of road. And so we understand that it's our responsibility to fix this.
So there are 5 different independent scores of this legislation. Every one of them says that it will increase the deficit somewhere between $3.3 and $4 trillion over the next 10 years. Now, I get you take issue with the Congressional Budget Office and that they don't have dynamic scoring, all this, but this is the emerging consensus among everyone analyzing. They say you're kicking, not only are you kicking the can down the road, but you're making the problem worse. You're adding to the debt.
Well, I think that is dramatically overstated, and here's why. Those same groups can objectively see and acknowledge that this is the largest cut in spending in at least 30 years and arguably of all time. We're cutting over $1.5 trillion in federal spending.
Again, we bring context, guys, because I care about the truth. When he says we're cutting spending more than we have in 30 years, they're cutting $1.5 trillion in spending over 10 years. That means $150 billion a year. The whole deficit, the entire spending is $7 trillion, guys. This is literally 2% of cuts to our actual spending. This is where, when you know the facts, if we spend $7 trillion with a $2 trillion deficit, he wants to come out and tout, oh, we're cutting $1.5 trillion. He's trying to make you think that they're cutting $1.5 trillion every year. No, it's over 10 years. This is where, again, too, I hate the politics of this.
While we check all the boxes and bring about a pro-growth economy. And the CBO has been panned because, as you said, they don't do dynamic scoring. What that means is they don't account for the growth that will be fostered by all the policies that are in this big piece of legislation. This is not theoretical, Jake. Just remember the last Trump administration. After the first 2 years, we brought about the greatest economy in the history of the world, not just the U.S. The growth was off the charts. It was an average of about 3% growth in GDP. Why? Because we cut taxes and we cut regulations. We're doing the same thing this time around, but on steroids. This is a much larger package, a much more robust package with all these features that will really get the economy going, because wages will rise, job creators, entrepreneurs, risk takers will have more ability to expand their businesses. U.S. manufacturing onshore is being incentivized. All these things will work together to make the economy grow faster than many of these projections are putting forth. So we're not buying it. We'll see what happens, and we have the evidence to prove it from the past.
So the CBO doesn't get a vote, but my next guest, Republican Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, does. And he wrote in the Wall Street Journal, quote, "The one big beautiful bill will almost certainly add to our deficits and debt." And he even called the bill the Titanic. What do you say to him?
Look, I love Ron Johnson. He's a dear friend, and he and I agree on our philosophy. We're limited government conservatives. We want to limit the size and scope of the government and make it work more efficiently and effectively. My response to him, and we've spoken about this over recent months.
Guys, if I wasn't seeing his face on the screen, you could literally, he could sound like a Democrat to me. honestly, because what you don't see the most important thing, which I'm going to show you next, what they should be doing that is actually limiting the size of government.
Is that we're doing the best we can with the vote numbers that we have. In other words, we've got to turn this aircraft carrier. You don't turn an aircraft carrier on a dime. It takes a mile of open ocean to do it. And it took us decades to get in this financial situation. We can't just flip a switch and get out of it overnight. One of the people that my friend Ron Johnson really respects is Russ Vought, who directs the Office of Management and Budget. And Russ is a big champion for this piece of legislation. He calls it historic. And he's a fiscal hawk, and so am I. So we're doing as much as we can, and I just encourage Ron to remember, you know, in the House, we have 220 Republicans, a wide range of perspectives and a wide range of districts represented, and I've got to get to 217 votes to get this thing over the line. So as much as we can, in as big an increment as we can, I think we've achieved that here, and I just want them to remember that we got to deal within the realm of what's possible.
Again, and when you talk about Congress and what's possible, you have some true patriots out there, some MAGA people like Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. We love her. She's a pit bull. Said, I can't disagree with anything here. We should have been voting on DOGE cuts every single week. Elon Musk is disappointed. He did his best. He showed all the fraud, waste, and abuse, and nothing happened. It's literally the people that are actually making the biggest change is who I'm about to show next, is people in Trump's cabinet that actually are making the changes through their departments. Congress ain't doing nothing right now, guys. They're literally on vacation this week, and it blows my mind because I think, man, who takes a random vacation? Look at this right here. 2 over, 2 down. May, the whole last week of May, there's no yellow, means nobody's working. It's just mind-blowing how many people, look at how many days that they get off, guys. The average American in America gets 2 weeks of vacation off. They work 240 days out of the year. I counted this all up. When you add in all the vacation time, when you add in all the weekends and stuff, guess what? If a regular American works 240 days a week, Congress works 140 days in the year. They work 100 days less than the average American. Their average salary is $175,000 plus all their benefits. And so it makes me upset. We have to do something about Congress cleaning out the deep state, but I'm glad to report we do have good changes that are actually coming from Trump's cabinet team. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Senator Kennedy.
Mr. Secretary, how many employees were there at HHS when you took over?
82,000.
How many do you have today?
62,000.
Okay.
That's about the level.
He's actually reducing the size of government. Cut out 20,000 jobs. Wow, something we actually voted for.
It was in 2019, right before COVID.
Is this the first time that an institution in America has ever downsized?
I don't think so. I think private and public institutions have.
Microsoft just announced that they were going to reduce their workforce by 6,000 people. You think that'll be the end of Microsoft?
Senator, we wouldn't have reduced anybody.
You think that'll be the end of Microsoft?
I don't think so, Senator.
Meta, I still call them Facebook, just announced they're going to reduce their workforce by 3,000 people. You think that'll be the end of Meta?
I imagine it will not.
Yeah. Think maybe the people at Meta know what they're doing?
I think that they do. They make a lot of money, Senator.
Do you hate NIH?
I love NIH. I grew up with NIH. I visited when I was a boy. I loved science, and those were my favorite afternoons, visiting the labs at NIH.
Do you hate medical research?
No, I think we need to lead the world in medical research in this country.
In fact, isn't it true, Mr. Secretary, that you would like to see more money spent on medical research?
Obviously, I'm the secretary of this department. No secretary wants to see his budget cut.
Well, one way of doing that, it seems to me, would be to stop some of the stealing. And let me tell you what I mean by that. Let's suppose you give NIH gives a university $100 million to research, for medical research, to research a cure. And that university takes $30 million of it, doesn't spend it on the research. They use it to subsidize the rest of their university. Does that show a commitment to medical research?
No, and I mentioned before the example of Stanford, which was taking 78% in indirect costs, and we don't know what they were spending.
That's theft, isn't it?
Boom.
It's not a good
in
way to
Louisiana,
spend
we call that
federal
stealing.
taxpayer dollars.
We call that stealing. Is there any doubt in your mind that a lot of universities are taking this NIH money, which is supposed to be spent on medical research, and using it to fund other parts of their university? Is there any doubt in your mind, Bobby?
Oh, and Senator, the other people who are writing grants, like the Gates Foundation, the Rockefeller Foundation, they paid 10% to 15% in indirect costs. We were paying 50, 60, 70%.
So, in fact, what you're doing is adding money to medical research.
We will be able to fund many, many, many more studies by eliminating that $9 billion, at least part of that $9 billion cost.
Okay.
Guys, again, do we not expose everybody? Look at this. Elon Musk came out and said an estimated 10 to 15 cents of every dollar spent by some agencies on foreign aid reaches its intended destination. 10 to 15 cents of every dollar. So what the heck happens to the other 85 to 90 cents of every dollar? And when you think about it, we send tens of billions of dollars overseas. We spend it on these research. You just heard RFK say that the Bill Gates Foundation, other foundations, Rockefeller, they spend 10 to 15% of their money on administration costs, on salaries and things like that. With the government, why do we spend between 50 to 70% of the amount of money that goes towards medical research towards administrative costs and salaries and not towards the actual research? Well, it's because of this right here. It's all about the money. These Senate Republicans did not want to cut foreign spending. They did not want to codify the DOGE and foreign and spending cuts. These are the rhinos that we need to get out. We need to primary. They need to be exposed. Everybody from Lindsey Graham to Mitch McConnell, even the leader of the Senate right now, Toons, that were voting against codifying DOGE foreign and spending cuts. Like, you cannot get more blatant than this of the corruption. And what you're about to see next is even deeper because it really affects our seniors. I want to say thank you so much, Fred Samuel, for the super chat. Let's go. He said in 2026, we have to vote out anyone that isn't putting America first and is just playing politics so that they can stay in power. 100%. Lay Lewis, thank you so much for the super chat. Said, I'm kind of thinking that one of the big reasons more arrests haven't been made is that President Trump wants to make sure avenues are shut down, T's are crossed, I's are dotted, so no chance of backlash. Amen. Thank you so much, y'all, Poffrey Man, for the super chat. Guys, y'all show them some love in the chat. Because again, too, it's every single day. Guys, we are finding so much fraud, waste, and abuse, and it's not coming from Congress. Congress is supposedly in charge of the purse, but you see right here on the screen, they don't even vote against the fraud, waste, and abuse. It's Trump's cabinet team that is actually finding it out, exposing it, and cutting the fraud, waste, and abuse, just like RFK said, by cutting 20,000 people, by cutting how we're spending our money. We're going to be able to do more research. Check this out.
Medicaid. Where are the offsets?
Well, here's the key to all of it. The president has made absolutely clear many times, as we have as well, that we're going to protect Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid for people who are legally beneficiaries of those programs. There are a lot of Americans who rely upon those programs, and we've got to ensure that they're safeguarded. That's a big priority of the White House and the Republicans in Congress. At the same time, we have to root out fraud, waste, and abuse. We have to eliminate people on, for example, on Medicaid who are not actually eligible to be there. Able-bodied workers, for example, young men who should never be on the program at all.
That was the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, on this program last month. Entitlements will be a major focus as the Senate looks at one big, beautiful bill that was passed in the House. Joining us now is Dr. Mehmet Oz, Administrator for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. It's great to have you on the program this morning. So as Speaker Johnson says there, and as the President has said time and time again, we are not doing any cutting of anything meaningful, he said, the President. The only thing we're cutting is waste, fraud, and abuse. So we're talking about those able-bodied men, for example, receiving benefits. We're talking about illegal immigrants that are on the system because Medicare has been expanded under the Obama administration and under the Biden administration. People are getting benefits, doctor, that they're not entitled to. That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah. The fraud, waste, and abuse is in three different categories. The fraud, which, by the way, we find quite a bit of. There's about $14 billion we've identified with DOGE of folks who are duly enrolled wrongly in multiple states for Medicaid. So you live in New Jersey, but you moved to Pennsylvania, and which state gets your Medicaid? Turns out both states collect money from the federal government. A lot of times within a state, you'll have someone on Medicaid and the exchanges. Again, $14 billion just in that regard alone. But there's other areas as well which are abusive, and you just touched on one, which is the work requirement. Let's be clear what this means. It doesn't mean you have a job. It means you're trying to get a job, which is a good thing because we have twice as many jobs as there are people looking for them right now. But if you don't or can't seek a job, you can volunteer somewhere. You can get an education. You can help out with other people inside the household. There's many ways that you can chip in, and there is a work requirement for SNAP. Right, the food stamps program. There's a lot we can do to I think there's a moral hazard if we don't, because you've got people who are not working, who could work, who should work, and it's better for them and better for the country if they do. And it's worth about $400 billion to the reconciliation bill that Speaker Johnson was speaking about. So if we do these
$400 billion, and guys, again, I love to show you breaking news because I'm telling you, if we're not cleaning out the deep state right now, look who just posted and came out and said this. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says that the House Republicans are betraying their voters by not codifying the DOGE spending cuts into law. This is accountability that we want, that even governors across the United States are willing to call out the people in Congress, House leadership like Mike Johnson to say, get your butt in order, codify these DOGE cuts, quit spending the taxpayers' money on all this fraud, waste, and abuse. Guys, if you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, this is what we the people voted for. And I'm so glad because I like DeSantis. He's kicked butt with Florida. Completely changed that state. They're in a surplus now. They've got so many people moving there because people want to live in a place where not only no state income taxes, they're removing property taxes. They have one of the most growing economies in the United States. But this right here is accountability. Everybody is coming in to say, you know what? Do what we the people voted for. Follow Trump's agenda or we're going to kick you out.
Things the right way, and there are a bunch of others I can offer to you as options. We're going to be able to clean up Medicaid so it actually serves the people for whom it was originally designed. Those at the dawn of their life, those are the children, those at the twilight of their life, the seniors, and those who are living in the shadows, folks who have disabilities who desperately need this program but aren't getting access to it in the way they should because other folks are clawing at the cloth of the system.
Yeah, and you recently wrote about it in an op-ed in the New York Times along with RFK Jr., Brooke Rollins, and Scott Turner. I encourage people to read that because it really explains what's happening here, that it should not be the way of American welfare, the way things are playing out right now. But the Democrat messaging is very powerful, Dr. Oz. They go out there and they say this is a war on the poor. 8.6 million people, they say, are going to lose their health insurance. At the same time, the New York Post reporting that really what's happening here is just a slow in spend. It's not cutting spend as drastically as the Democrats make it seem to be, from 4.6% per year to 3.7%. So your take on what their message is and how you need to counter that.
Well, the message for me is a very simple one. In every scenario I have seen, and I've seen, I think, most of them, we are increasing the amount of money we are spending on Medicaid because we do have to support Americans who are most vulnerable. Great societies are judged by how they take care of people who are vulnerable amongst them. That stated, we have to make the program sustainable. We have to protect it. That's what the Republicans are trying to do. President Trump has said over and over again, publicly and privately, he wants to love and cherish these programs because he wants to love and cherish the people in them.
Yes.
But to do that, you have to make sure, for example, there are enough providers. If you don't pay providers, right, they do it for free, let's say, they can do that for 1 in 7 patients. But if you say, hey, listen, half your patients we're not going to pay you for, we're going to make programs that don't reimburse you, that doesn't work. Now providers begin to flee, and now we don't have enough, for example, mental health providers in rural parts of this country. There's much we can do as a country. It's a shared responsibility. We have to do it together. But the buck stops here. We've got to clean up the system. We're not paying $200 million for housekeeping anymore a year. We're not going to pay for illegal immigrants in states that are submitting those claims. Why should people living in Mississippi or Texas or Florida be paying for illegal immigrants getting health care in California?
Yeah.
As a nation, we need to be aligned to make this work.
Let me ask you about some of the estimates that are out there with respect to how much this is going to cost, because there actually are hurdles to implementation. And there's a little worry that some of the states are going to find ways to evade the intended cost or skirt the rules. What is the impact of that?
Well, states are incentivized right now not to cooperate with the federal government. Part of what was done with the expansion of Medicaid is a provision that the federal government pay 90% of the tab, as opposed to, for example, 50% of the tab in some other states or 60% of the tab. So the able-bodied individuals actually are getting more money for the state from the federal government. So right now, in many states, if you go to the hospital and you're an able-bodied person, the hospital gets paid more than if you're a Medicare beneficiary. Now, how does that work? People work their whole life, chipped into Medicare, they get the program, they retire thinking they've got a great system, and the hospital tells them, listen, you guys don't pay as well as the able-bodied folks on Medicaid who haven't been able to get a job, so in a way, we sort of value them more, and that's what ends up happening that disrupts the system. We need to align the federal government with what the states desire, what the president has to be aligned with the governors. Our president is a very deal-oriented man, as you know. He knows what the pressure points are. And if you don't have parties aligned, they're not going to collaborate.
Guys, and again, we go back to what is the agenda? What is Trump and what is we the people? What did we vote for? We have seen so much deep state exposed. We have seen so much fraud, waste, and abuse. So much of our tax dollars that have gone overseas. Hundreds of billions of dollars to trillions of dollars that if you look over the past 20 years. And this is what I love. I just showed you DeSantis, who just came out and said, hey, Mike Johnson, get your butt in order, codify the DOGE cuts. We have Congressman Tony Wyde, who is speaking out saying we were sent to Washington by the American people to root out the waste, fraud, and abuse in our government. We need to start voting on DOGE cuts now. Guys, this is the more and more that this comes out and the more that red state governors come out and they say these things, we are going to actually see things happen because people like Mike Johnson, who we know that they're in Congress, he's a nice guy, doesn't want to ruffle any feathers, wants to try to play both sides all the time, but you can't do that right now. Right now, we need people that are going to fight for we the people. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Fred Samuel, thank you again for the super chat. Let's go. He said, America first starts at the local level, so if you love our country, do your research, vote only America first from out, and we can make things happen. I love it. Y'all show Fred some love in the chat, as well as Don Sturgis, who just said, I just referred your channel TrueLife News to Caroline Levitt for a review as a White House cheerleader. Keep up the good work. Mid-State Michigan is behind you. Let's go, guys. Show Don some love in the chat, as well as Michelle Eisner. Thank you so much for the super chat. And Lydia Erickson, welcome to the family. Let's go, guys. Y'all are so awesome. I love it getting to serve you every day with the top news. Because again, too, we are barely scratching the surface. Everybody that is revealing all the fraud, the waste, the abuse, this is where it's all starting. when you look at what has happened and transpired over the past 4 years, listen to this, because people that were fully Democratic, full on the Democrat side, have now moved closer to common sense. They've moved towards the center because of what you're about to hear next. And this is why I think that if we can codify these DOGE cuts, get this big, beautiful bill passed, and actually show we the people that the Republicans, the GOP, are serious about Trump's agenda, we will win the midterms. Check this out.
While we didn't know that much about Joe Biden's health, we know even less about Donald Trump's health. He was completely untransparent during the 2023-2024 campaign. He has not been transparent since, and there is no mechanism forcing him or any future president to being transparent about their health. He could be on anything. We really have no idea.
All right, Matt Taibbi is the editor-in-chief, Racket News, and joins us tonight. Matt, good to see you again. What's your response to, how they're trying to twist this thing after what we saw they did with Joe Biden?
So I have nothing against Jake Tapper personally, but when I first read about this, I thought it was a joke, honestly. The WMD scandal is currently considered to be the largest journalistic scandal of our time. But in that case, we could legitimately say that the government lied to us. In this case, everybody was looking right at Joe Biden for years on end. It's not like we can say they lied to us, which is the case that they're now claiming. The first chapter of this book has an F-bomb in it, claiming essentially that they F'd us by lying about Joe Biden's health. But I was on the trail with Biden. We all saw it. He was clearly unfit. They just didn't want to report it.
It's unbelievable, and I feel like these guys are just bleeding out credibility as they try to save themselves in this moment, because again, you're looking at something, they're telling you it's not happening, but you can see it with your own eyes, and basically what they're telling you is, we trusted the White House so implicitly that even though Joe Biden was clearly collapsing, we decided to believe the White House instead. Guys, and look at this. I've got to show you this. This is from the leading report. Jake Tapper now claims, this is the guy from CNN, but he's like totally flipped on the other side. Jake Tapper now claims that the cover-up of Biden's cognitive decline may be worse than Watergate. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Per New York Post, guys, this is huge.
Yeah, and you have to remember that whenever there's a campaign like this and there's a pile on by everybody in the mainstream press, there's usually a propagandistic motive behind it. And I think in this case, what it is they're admitting one thing, but it's leading people away from the more obvious questions, which is there's a very serious scandal in play if Joe Biden was not competent from the beginning of his presidency. Who was signing all those documents? Who was making all those decisions? Was the auto pen used illegally? Were all those policies enacted illegally? Was legislation signed illegally? Like, these are all questions that we have to ask that they're not asking now, because we're now admitting that we made a mistake about his fitness.
Yeah. I want to ask you about Scott Pelley over at CBS, showing a lot of frustration at the Trump administration at a recent commencement speech, Wake Forest University. Take a listen.
Our sacred rule of law is under attack. Journalism is under attack. Universities are under attack. Freedom of speech is under attack.
This is coming from the same people that not only censored everybody during COVID, censored the Hunter Biden laptop story, censored the January 6th riot, or as the left likes to say, the insurrection. But now that we have more freedom than ever in the past decade when it comes to Facebook, X, Instagram, across the board, X, is Twitter. Now everybody on the left is coming out and saying they're trying to censor. We're losing everything. People are so tired of being gaslit with this type of propaganda. It's like, how far are they willing to go? Because I feel like they're doubling down, people, that they cannot take it, that they lost, and they just want to keep trying to lie to people.
And insidious fear is reaching through our schools, our businesses, our homes, and into our private thoughts. The fear.
That is so laughable after what we just went through the last 4 years with the previous administration, and you know what they did, the censorship regime that we just went through. But on top of that, you've got this lawsuit from Trump alleging that they edited Kamala to make her look better in 60 Minutes. We all saw that the teaser clip that they had on Face the Nation earlier in the day where Kamala's answer was awful. And we all thought, wow, that's not going to be good. And then when you watch 60 Minutes that night, Kamala's answer was a lot better. Is there any question at all that they really edited it in a way to improve her answer on one of the more important questions she took just weeks before the election, in your mind?
Wow.
No, I don't think there's any question. I think that was obvious at the time. I think it made 60 Minutes look bad. It made CBS look bad. And, you know, what Scott Pelley is really complaining about is the loss of public trust in the institution of the mainstream press. But that's not the fault of audiences, and it's not the fault of Donald Trump. It's the fault of the media. Trust is an organic, living thing. Mm-hmm. And when you lie to audiences and they catch you, you lose trust. That's how it works. The media is a trust business, and they're just failing at it. That's all.
It's something that Pelley can at least admit that the way that 60 Minutes handled the story, that they made a mistake. You know, you can complain about the lawsuit, you can complain about Redstone wanting to settle it, you can complain about a lot of things. But if you don't at least say that, hey, that was a bad moment for us and we did make a mistake there, you have no credibility, you know, yelling and screaming at Wake Forest in this moment. I just can't see it that way. Matt Type.
Guys, such big news of what has come out today. Not only are we seeing that everybody is exposing the lie with Biden's cognitive decline, Jake Tapper literally coming out and saying that it was worse than Watergate, that we now have over 100 members of the council that have been fired over leaking Donald Trump's briefing details. The deep state is being cleaned out, and it's finally about dang time, guys. And we are following up with this so much. There's so much breaking news happening every single day. Just want to say, if you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, I want to say thank you to everybody who is watching, to all of our subscribers and viewers. We appreciate you so much from the bottom of our hearts. And if you're not subscribed, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Letting us serve you every day with the top news, it matters. Seeing the full context, knowing whenever these politicians are politicking, when they're telling the truth, that's why we bring the receipts and we show you everything. And we bust our butt to give you the best show every single day. I want to say thank you to all of our members of the channel, guys. Remember, when you're a member or you give a super chat donation, we take this money and we donate it live on stream to a local charity every single month on the 22nd of every single month. And this past month, we gave our biggest donation of this year, over $3,000, to a local children's home, guys, and we are changing lives. That's what I love about this channel, that we're growing. We're growing as a community. We're so close to 200,000 subs, and we just want to keep bringing the truth, keep bringing the full context, guys. We're not trying to be one way. You see this American flag, guys. We're America first. And I just want to say I thank everybody that likes these videos, shares our videos. It means the world to us that you support us. Me and my family are truly grateful for your support. I want to give some love to those today that have given: Joe Lee, Chris Kessinger, Fred Samuel, Lay Lewis, Gina James, B1 Sly One, Randy Blanks, Mr. Tracy J. Norby, Denise Clark Custom Art. Thank you so much for your support. Fred Samuel, Lay Lewis, Geoff Poffreyman, Don Sturgis, Michelle Eisner, Lydia Erickson, and Lay Lewis for gifting a TrueLife News membership. Growing the family. Let's go. Guys, we love you all. Appreciate you so much. Remember, every day it's my job to serve you. That we wouldn't be here without you. And we need more of these Congress people to start talking like that of, we serve we the people. Get the job done, follow Trump's agenda, serve us, and make sure to stop wasting our dang money. We love you all. We thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.